We're starting this party off. See that?
Is that a remote? Like,
it is. Clip up.
right.
This is a remote for the camera. The phone. The universal Swiss Army knife tool of
Dude, this is
the
sweet.
generations. I'm saying.
I am liking the new podcast location with the toolbox
This is. We wish you guys could see it.
This should not make you in a bad mood. This should make you in a good mood.
I know, but just getting there. Look, man, the whole place is an absolute mess. It's supposed to be. When you're building it out of scraps and you're cobbling it together, robbing Peter to save Paul, warped lumber to start with, on and on. And you know what? It's not like everything went wrong. It's because of my, my approach, coming into it, skinny budget, and just making it happen.
It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be just happy about, but I figured out a way to be grumpy.
I want to be grumpy today, man. So I think I found my next truck.
What are you thinking,
dude? I didn't realize I was so far over on my lease.
How far over were you?
Oh my god!
Oh, on your miles. I thought time.
Not time.
You're over by time.
No, I got to pay the lease off. I still got payments to make. It's a mess. So,
what kind of truck are you thinking about?
I'm getting another Dodge.
You guys are liking the Dodges.
I love them.
Well,
I've had all kinds of trucks.
I mean, if you're leasing them, how many years?
I won't lease this one. I'll buy this one.
Okay, because the only one that's got the transmission that's going to last. Listen, don't listen to me. The only one with a transmission that's really going to last is the Chevy.
And I won't buy a Chevy.
You're not hauling. It's fine.
I won't buy Chevys.
It's fine.
I will buy nothing from Government Motors.
I know, dude. It's an absolute mess.
I won't buy it. I'm sorry.
It is. Well, let's welcome everybody. I started it.
We're already recording?
Absolutely. This was too good. Look, guys.
I had no clue.
We have the chairs from a Hollister tear out. And Todd, you do know I did a subsequent Hollister clean out.
That's when you got the surfboards, right?
I got 3, more than 8 foot long surfboards.
Yeah, I know this. Loving that.
2 of them have fins and everything. One of them has no fins and it's full of dings and dents. So that's a decoration board for now. Someday, if I live near the coast, I will repair. I've been watching for like a year, just happenstance. I just happened. I didn't know I was going to get surfboards. I just happened to start watching surfboard restoration videos. They're very soothing to me. And
you just stumble upon a surfboard
because I mean,
my YouTube, after or before you got them?
So before, a year before I got them.
So you just out of the blue, hey, you know what? I want to know how to refinish the surfboard.
That's not how it went. It's every night around 7:30. We finish dinner, and Judy will watch a show with the other guys. Like Judy and Emma are watching. I don't know. They watched a thing called Lock and Key, like some show. They watched Kimmy Schmidt, and I don't know what they're watching right now because I go up to our quarters and I watch like 45 minutes of TV. And I go on YouTube and I have like 5 YouTube accounts for all the different things I've done in the past, and that whatever account I'm on, it's learning that I like. I love videos of tornadoes and mudslides and rock falls and stuff like that.
Okay,
just brings me to my mental center.
So
that's my inner world.
Natural disasters bring you to your center. Tsunamis are good. So yeah. Is it the destruction, the death, that you can't control Mother Nature? It's the sovereignty of the situation. Make sense? No. So you have to explain that to me.
So those are all situations where this is what's happening right now. There are no decisions to be made here. We're just going to have to see how this goes.
Well, I think there are a few decisions to be made. Do I run like hell? Do I run theoretically, do I go to higher ground? Do I honker down? What do I do?
You want to be on higher ground. And I guess there's some aspect.
You have to make some kind of decision.
I'm not highly aspirational to prepare. But watching them happen, I don't have a prepper's heart. That's not to say I haven't made preparations of one sort or another. It's that I really don't believe that when things like that happen, that that anyone's going to have anything. And I want to see how it happens. I mean, maybe someone would want to look at, I don't know, constellations or something, but I'd rather watch a lahar. You know what a lahar is?
Have we discussed the earthquakes I've been in?
No. Before we keep going, welcome everyone to the CapmLew podcast. Today, we've got Todd Redding from Redding, California. No. They named it after him. No. But you did live in California.
Oh, absolutely.
How long?
I lived in Northern California and Southern California. Both. Lived there, I believe, about 10, 15 years.
Okay. Tell me about earthquakes.
So, they happen every day in California.
Yeah.
But you literally, they're in the paper. So I've been through a couple big ones. One of the biggest ones I've been in was actually in Seattle. Seattle had a huge earthquake. I was literally on a sales call. I was in the foyer of a downtown high-rise. The floor is doing this.
That is big.
And I'm like, oh, what the?
Did it crack
Windows
all the tiles?
Are breaking. Yeah. People are screaming. Like, what do you do there? So you kind of hunker down. You get behind a pole. So I get out of that thing, and I got to find a rental car because the airport's shut down. Because there's no flights. The airport, all the control tower, all the windows are blown out. They can't get planes in and out of the place. It was crazy.
The big deal about an earthquake in Seattle. Do you know about the pending tsunami on the northwest coast?
That's going to hit Seattle?
That's when, if I were in Seattle and there were an earthquake, I'll be saying my last prayers.
Well, it wasn't, I mean, it was, you're in there, so I get
I'd unfold that ancient piece of paper I keep tucked away in my pocket that says Seattle earthquake on it.
I find the last rental car available so I can drive back to California, because at that point in time, I'm living basically in San Francisco, and I get a Ford Ranger rental truck.
Now, had you already rented a car? Or were you carless when you were in that lobby?
I couldn't get to the car.
So you had a rental car?
But it wasn't going to happen. Like, I had to go to a place I could actually get a car, because I wasn't getting that car out of the city.
When you left the lobby, where did you immediately go?
That's a great question.
Yeah, because I see you in the lobby, and then you're in a rental car.
You know what happened? I think exactly what I did is I found a way to get back to my hotel to get all my crap.
Was that a walk?
I think it was a walk at that point in time, because I was probably staying close to because Seattle's not that big. So back when I was doing it, you could just sort of in the city.
Yeah,
I grabbed my hotel stuff and I found a rental, satellite location, grabbed a car, and just started driving back home. So that's a big earthquake I've been in. I've been in quite a few when I lived in California. And so you learn the difference in earthquakes, though. You've got shakers and you got rattlers.
Oh, my.
So there's some earthquakes that they're deep enough in the ground that they roll. They're rollers, right? Okay. So the house rolls. So
very up and down.
So you can just literally see everything
go. Very up and down motion.
And the rattlers, which are closer to the surface.
They're side to side.
Like that. And that's when the stuff falls off the walls.
Come on.
And Lou,
and which one was that one?
I've been in both.
Okay.
In California.
Would you call that one a roller?
The one in Seattle was a roller. Because you could literally see the floor rolling.
Not cool.
Yeah, it is wild. But earthquakes, you don't know when they're coming.
Not cool.
No clue. And you can't stop it. It's on a roller coaster you can't get off.
Okay, so there's what I called the sovereignty of the situation. See that? Like, we are all unified in this experience. Nobody sees this different than anyone else really right now. Like, we're all either going to help ourselves or help someone else. That's the way this is going to go. Now is not the time when someone is stealing my bicycle. Now is not the time when someone is trying to break into my car or rob my house,
But unfortunately, it is.
Right after. No, in the aftermath.
Then they're trying to steal everything you got.
So, the aftermath, you can also watch YouTube. But YouTube pinned me down on restoration of oil paintings. I had no idea, dude. Guy's got a whole studio workshop. Beautiful, well lit, well cameraed. He's got a whole studio workshop, and he restores oil paintings that have been torn or rotten with water and like that.
So
Baumgartner Restorations.
so were you watching a lot of?
I,
Were you watching Bob Ross? Is that what happened?
it's sort of like a Bob Ross, although I don't like Bob Ross. That makes me nervous.
Bob Ross makes you nervous. Was it the hair?
I don't trust it. It's the syrupy sweet aspect.
Come on.
I
Bob
just
loved coming from you, Lou.
I know, dude. You think I'm a very sweet guy, but
you're a purveyor of love.
I'm actually I like. I mean, that's my faith. That's where I'm at. But it's so funny. In Jeremiah chapter 17, this was part of our wedding vows, and I don't have a hard copy Bible with me, but it says basically, the heart of man is deceitfully wicked. Who can know it? And one thing I learned from my Bible is it's good to love people, but it's not a given to trust them. I say it this way.
Okay.
I
would absolutely agree. I would agree that trust and love
very different. It's the difference between affection, yes, respect, maybe. Okay. And when I see a persona 2D on a television, okay, I can hang with certain personas. But Bob Ross, it's so inviting. You just begin to think, oh, this guy is just the best, right? And then you're like watching him paint, and you have this it is therapeutic, and it is very charming, you know. But first of all, I don't paint.
But you watch people restore paintings.
Yeah, I do restore things.
Well, yeah, clearly.
Badly. Now, motorcycles I restore pretty well, you know, like they're mechanical. You put the right parts in the right tightness in the right sequence, and you're done. But watching someone restore a painting, and also with the skateboarding, I did coatings, I did screen printing, I did different screen printing products, I did different glue products, I did all this stuff that I did in skateboarding to build really good skateboards. I found some of the funniest things. Like, it's not true the higher tech something is, the better quality it will be. You know,
I would 100 on that.
Watching these videos of restoring paintings, it's just like that. He's like, no, I found out that apple cider vinegar actually it works much better than the more expensive chemicals out there. Plus, it's not health dangerous and it's better for the planet. You know, and I don't think he ever said that.
So as people are trying to digest you and envision you watching paint restoration,
dude, I'm in a recliner, boots up.
Okay. How long? How many? Is it hours at a time?
No, it's only an hour. It's 45 minutes of the day. You know. Now look, don't get me wrong, right? Don't have me pegged for some disciplined guy. I'm not in the Jocko Willink, right? Today, I worked from home. Okay. I did 3 for work, because I mean it's raining right now.
Yes.
And at work we're onboarding a whole bunch of sales guys, and I spent from 3 something yesterday until about 7 with one of our sales guys. Initials RP.
Yes.
And I was actually looking at his roof to see what he needed, and was able to give him a good report. I was on roofs all week last week, and every roof was bad news. I got over to this guy's house, and he was afraid he had a leak. And I went up, and he didn't have a leak. It felt great. It felt great that a guy working for us didn't have a leak, and it felt great to give someone some good news for once. And you can't sugarcoat it. Nope. Because it's their roof. And I don't have a conflict about giving people bad news about their roof, because first of all, that's what we get paid to do. But second, I know what it's like to have a bad roof, and I don't want that for anybody else. And I know that it'll work out. If you have to get a roof, it'll work out, you know. Um, but but after that, we were talking about because this person, because of his schedule, hasn't been able to be in all the trainings, so we were able to go through a bunch of stuff. So I was happy that yesterday, I worked a big day, and today I worked a small day. And one of the things I did for work was Aaron contacted me because he wanted the Helix and Brothers construction.
The video. Did you save that video?
I sent it over to Aaron.
Okay, I need to be included on that.
Okay, I will send it.
I could not find the video.
So they're out in the Northwest.
Because I called them.
Yeah, I know. I was there. You called him, and it was awesome.
I called him right up, man.
So cool. I never call anyone. I need to start doing that. I need to call people and tell them I like what they're doing.
This is a construction company that put together a video on Facebook that was talking about Karens, and your house has to be better than
whole series.
Unbelievably great videos.
It's like, do you want your house to, and they use a voiceover, like an AI voiceover that's like this information guy. Like, it's like, do you want your house to take a dump on that nasty Karen's house? Well, then you need to get your butt over to Helix and blah, 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 blah. And we'll, and it's super aggressive, super funny, super transgressive.
I think I was very impressed. So I called the guy and asked him if they're getting business from it.
Yeah, because it's so unapologetically transgressive. It's very liberating, really. It's very.
I would say it took some kahunas to put that stuff out there and have your name. Like when Aaron and I looked at that, we're like, if you know these guys and those are their videos,
their sense of humor is absolutely on point.
And he was super nice on the phone when I called him. He was gracious.
You could bank on it. Yeah. That those guys are going to be swell dudes. But really enjoyed the Helix and Brother videos, and really enjoyed and so I enjoyed sending that over for Aaron because he was doing a sales training and he was trying to get someone to understand like how you build a personal brand. Don't be afraid of telling people that at Solution Roofing we're actually kind of a big deal.
We are a big deal.
It is.
I've heard that.
It's shocking what's going on in roofing. The big boys, everyone's paying for their billboards and their giant, ad machine, and it's adding $200 a square onto the price of their roof.
It's got to get paid somehow.
And with us, we're actually going person to person, and it saves people $200 a square or more. And that's cool. But anyways, so you've been in both kinds of earthquakes. You made it to a rental car, and that's amazing. You got one.
I just, when you talk about natural disasters, I'm one that can actually, I've lived through natural disasters.
I have.
But it's all been earthquake driven.
I've been.
Some tornadoes, though, when I lived. I've done the tornado thing, too.
Did you ever get in one?
I've had to be in the basement a few times. I don't think I've.
Your house didn't get knocked down?
No.
Yeah.
But I've been pretty, the wind in there, and then in the eye of the earthquake or tornado freaks you out because nothing happens.
You talking about the hurricane? Hurricanes, the big ones. The big ones have a big eye.
Is that what the eye? Okay.
So for like, you'll have a 80, 100 mile an hour winds, and then it's gone.
Then
and
nothing.
You can see the sun in the middle.
Yeah,
it's the sun. You got 50 miles of sun because it's like 50 miles.
And then the tail end gets you.
And then you still have half a hurricane or more to go through, depending on its trajectory. I've experienced that. I've had the edge of a hurricane where you've got these clouds that are skipping along.
Whoa.
70 mile an hour winds. I've ridden I rode an entire day out to Arkansas. And it wasn't a hurricane, but it was a storm with those flat winds that knock things down.
Just like gusts or gusts, like what is it?
They're flat winds. They're not tornado winds.
Okay.
So you could get like 120 mile an hour gusts. We punched through it. That we actually had to strategize because
you're on your bike like,
with my buddy. Yeah, my buddy and I were riding.
Dude, how dangerous is that?
Very. It was fun. But we didn't catch any of those 120 mile an hour things. We had 60 mile an hour.
But wouldn't that just like blow you right over?
It doesn't. It doesn't blow you right over. It does blow you. Yeah, the wind would go from like 20 mile an hour to 60 mile
but
an
if the
hour.
wind's coming
right across us too,
you,
we were headed west, and the wind was hitting us. Oh my gosh!
so you're literally
feel
trying. I
like
mean, you're
it was
almost driving
hitting
into the
us.
wind as you're driving straight.
No, it was hitting us. It was hitting us from the northwest, so it was hitting us constantly to our left. Yeah, it was constantly hitting us to our left. So we had right lane position, 1 and 2, and we were able to maintain lane the whole trip. And one thing that made it easier for me was I was no, my bike wasn't slammed at the time. That's right. We were blowing around. But it got down to 40 mile an hour after we punched through it. But it was rain. My buddy's hands got really cold. Oh my gosh, his hands got cold.
All right, so let me ask you, why wouldn't you just pull over or just stop and let it pass?
We did wind up out of fatigue after we had punched through it. We wound up stopping. It was Cinco de Mayo. I think it was 2017. And we stopped at a hotel. We were going to get there that night, but instead we stopped. And that hotel was in Illinois. I can't stand going into Illinois. But we were in Illinois, and we stopped, and there was a Mexican restaurant right next to it, and we got to have a margarita on Cinco de Mayo. It was a good trip. But surfboard restoration is also therapeutic. The things they combine to repair the foam, and they pull off the epoxy, they pull off the glass, then they repair the foam. And you know what they use when they do the final slick on it? They use spackle. They use drywall spackle for the final, before they put glass back on it.
Oh, wow.
Then they take the glass fabric and they drape it over and they tape it off and make
Wasn't
it so
that
it flows
fiberglass? Like they're
it
doing
is.
the fiberglass sheets, right? Like you're building a Corvette.
They repair the foam with well, they use foam and epoxy. You use this stuff, white powder stuff.
Okay.
They fix the big things and they get them done, and then they use spackle, and then they sand it and all that stuff. And if the damage is on the edges, it's harder to fix. But I mean, honestly, if I repaired my own surfboard, I wouldn't mind if it was a little lumpy here and there. It's not like I'm some high performance person who's going to actually, oh, it's pulling to the left. I mean, I'm not that guy at all.
Right. Well, how many times have you been on a surfboard?
One time in 1998.
So is this a surfboard fantasy that you're going to fix these boards up and load them in, strap them to the bike and roll?
Here's the thing. No, I'll take my trailer. I'm not ashamed of trailer. I'd take my trailer with a bike or two, toolkit, and a couple of surfboards, maybe 2 bikes, a toolkit, and 2 surfboards, and pull my trailer down to where my friends are and park the trailer, offload all the gear, ride around, go to the beach, catch. And the surf is not big down there. So because they're longboards, you can ride 2-foot waves on a longboard, just fart around.
I have surfed, by the way.
Have you surfed often? I mean, like 5 times?
At least 5 times.
That's cool.
I even had a wetsuit.
Did you catch a wave?
I suck at it.
I mean, it's hard.
It's not easy. Well, we would do longboards.
Foam tops?
So foam top longboards.
It's a great way
That's what you do. That's what we did in California.
Yep.
Because, I lived, the ocean was kind of right there.
I know, dude.
So, yes, I did the surfing thing. My big old fat, in a wetsuit.
Yep.
That, yes.
Pee in there?
To stay warm? Hell yeah.
Everyone pees in a wetsuit.
There's no reason not to.
It's sterile.
You're in the water.
Come on.
What else are you gonna do?
I think it'd be a shame not to.
Well, it's the same thing when I scuba dive.
I'm right there with you. Some people think that's gross.
It washes all out. I mean, you're in the water.
Those people need to relax.
I would agree. Now, I've never pooped in a wetsuit, but I've absolutely peed in a wetsuit.
That is categorically gross.
The pooping part. I've never.
There's no need for that.
Okay.
No need for that.
Even though when I'm, 90 feet in the water, I'm still good to go. I think it just pushes it all back in anyway. There's all the pressure.
I'm fine. It's fine.
So
today, so I like the ones with you. We're gonna do plenty more of these. I had an organized question that I lost in my mind. See, that's the kind of thing that really annoys me.
I was
I
looking
had
forward
an
to a question.
organized question. I lost it in my mind, and it's to the loss of the viewers and ultimately damages the cause of the podcast. That's fine. There's a limit to the value of self-interest.
Well, we have talked, and because I just recently had my birthday, as we know. So,
Haps.
we've been kind of talking about, what's it like kind of get a little bit older? Things are, do you start to kind of, think about things a little differently? We've had a discussion the other day at lunch about where truly we are in the last third.
We are.
I mean, it's undeniable. We're in the last third.
Home stretch. We got 25 years. I'm 50. You're only 5-6 years ahead of me. And are you 56?
I think I just turned 7.
57. That's still
I believe
we're
that was
in the
my
same,
birthday.
We're
I
in
kind of
the
started
same
losing
decade.
track after a while.
Yeah. And yeah, the game has changed.
We were just sitting there, and you kind of laugh. You're like, because you remember your grandparents saying, "Oh, back when I was, this is what we did."
Yeah.
And we were talking about kids and how technology has gone wackadoodle. And when I talk to my kids, when I grew up, the biggest thing we got was a microwave. We were making microwave popcorn. We thought we were just king. You know what?
Did you ever blow up a boiled egg?
I'm sure we've done everything in a stupid microwave.
Yeah.
And then TVs were big boxes, and they did nothing. We didn't have cell phones.
No.
I was telling my youngest the other day, we were talking about when I got my first, they were called car phones. They weren't cell phones.
I remember them.
They literally installed it in my car with an antenna on the back, and it was a big case. And like, if you wanted to be portable, you literally had a shoulder strap, and you had a that was your phone. It was a case. And then they went to the the big old thing you can see from the 80s, the bricks. And I was trying to explain to, like, you didn't have the internet in your hand. You couldn't do all the things you do today.
In 1993, I worked for a company that I started with them in 93. See, I was with them for 5.5 years. Let me just think of it. I left them in January of 98. I started with them in 90. I wasn't with them I thought I was with them 5.5 years. I probably was. I'll figure it out later. Yeah, that makes sense. 92, 93, I got in with this company. They were a storage place for high sensitivity, high security backup, disaster recovery backups.
Oh, for like drives, like computer backup?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had tape storage, we had microfilm, fiche, we had tons of tape storage.
Okay, this is the first I've heard of this. So what did you do for them?
So disaster recovery, you run out to the site, wherever the company is, big companies. Every company still does this. But now they do it with the cloud. I don't know how they do it now. I haven't been in that industry since 1998, right? But you drive there and you drop off a bunch of tapes that have come around to be re-recorded over, and you pick up the tapes. So they'll only lose one day's business if everything goes down.
Okay.
What happens if everything goes down is we immediately snap into action and ship all of their tapes to their hot site, where they've set up a backup that can continue.
So I don't think you use tapes anymore, big boy.
I know.
I'm just letting you know. I'm not sure that's
I became
a thing.
I became a radiology files manager. We had a lot of hospitals that would store their silver paper X-rays with us.
Isn't that think about
that? A guy before me had built this shelving out of grocery shelving with wires through it to keep them upright. And he had kind of invented he had sort of a system of, they had color system on them, and color and number, and they were all out of order. And I went into that vault. It was a really big vault. My job was to get there at like 5 a.m. and load up today's polls for the doctors. I would pick pick the day's stuff, load it in a van, take it out, get the returns, bring them back, and I would file the returns and spend the rest of the day getting everything into order because it was all really out of order and it was all jumbled and like that. And I worked radiology files for a long time, and they even called me a radiology files manager.
Ooh, you got a title.
I did. I had a title because I was fixing it. I was super young, you know. I was 20, 22. But when I worked that was disaster recovery. When I worked there, it was, you had to do like voice codes. That was most they had. They didn't have I codes yet. Voice codes and key punches and all that stuff. Oh, why did I start talking about that? It was fun. And it's also tangentially related to our initial conversation about natural disasters and how much I enjoy footage of them. Tangentially. But I'm in an interesting point in my life because, and Todd, you're really part of this. I spent most of my life in some form of Christian ministry until 2005. You know, well, that's like going on 20 years ago. And at that point, I was able to parlay a skill in my life that gave me overlap of personal missional outreach to where I come from, the skateboarders. So I had this skill set that I could work for skateboard companies and help them to grow. There was a recent advent of around 2000, you began to have skateboard companies, brands pop up that were not rooted in California. It was almost all California. The East Coast tried to do its own thing with that, and then there were East Coast brands. Their branding was largely like, we're East Coast, you know, with the hand, with the rapper hands. They had rapper hands, you know. So they were the East Coast is really good at being very, very proud of itself. And California is so chill. You know, they're just chill. Like, they just have a great groove. The sunshine, you know, endless summer, beautiful weather, beaches, mountains. You know, they just got it going on in California back then. Now I'm not so sure because I don't want to buy a $22 burrito today. You know,
there's a reason I don't live there anymore, Lou.
Did you move because of things like that?
I moved because it took 4 hours to get to the zoo.
This is just nuts.
I mean, it's absolutely, that place is insane. I mean, the weather is phenomenal. I give you that. But beyond that, again, I think, you know, I've got a business partner who still lives there. He is trying to get out as fast as he can. He's actually just going to move to Vegas.
That's really disappointing that living in a barren desert, you know, is preferable to...
Well, I will give you what he told me. Now, could be anecdotal, but this is what he told me.
Yeah, what'd you say?
He needs to buy a new car. Mm-hmm. So he told me to register the car in Vegas versus registering it in California.
Yep.
Would be $5,000 less to register his car in Las Vegas than to register his car in California.
What kind of car is it?
So like just a basic, like $40,000 or $50,000 SUV kind of thing, like nothing major.
What does it cost to register a car in Ohio?
Oh, I just did the plates on the work trucks. They were $120 a year, some shit like that.
How do you get to $5,000 less?
That's what it in California with all the taxes and all the stuff. And if you don't buy the right car, and you buy a car that takes gas instead of one that's electric, and they have to pay for all this stuff somehow.
I don't know how to think about something like that.
So that's what he told me. So he's working on. He's not even gonna get his car until he establishes residency in Vegas.
I'm not smart enough to form an opinion about what I don't even know how to think about.
So he's looking just to rent and get. So he looked at a furnished rental in Vegas.
Okay,
it was half the cost of what he could rent his unfurnished apartment for that he's in now, that he owns in California. So he's literally going to move to Vegas, make money on the apartment that he owns, because he said it was half the cost and it's furnished. So he just has to literally pack his car up and go. That's his plan.
I meet people in different states who have moved from California, and even some in the neighborhood who specifically the folks in my neighborhood have not complained to me about California. Nope, I'm wrong. Have a neighbor here, as I remember it, they complained bitterly that California was like it out from under them. They've been there for decades, and that it changed, man. Like it became unbelievable, not just expensive. They said it was crazy. And you mentioned the four hours to drive to the zoo, um, and like there's a part of me that like I'm resistant to coming to conclusions because I'm embarrassed about sounding like a curmudgeon.
Yeah.
I don't want
No,
to.
we can do that now, Lou.
Well,
We're in the, again. We're in the we're in the third, buddy.
I'm an aspiring liberal. Okay, I have spiritual beliefs that put me at odds with all of the different categories and tribes that have so staunchly formed up. Okay, so my my spiritual experience and my beliefs and the doctrine that I ascribe to, they preclude me from membership in pretty much everything that's going on. There's almost no step I can take in this life that isn't condemnable in the eyes of all of them. Okay, I don't hate well enough for one group. I don't I'm really not money averse. Okay? I'm not afraid of money, but I'm not greed driven. I don't actually believe more is always more. I think that there are times to settle for less so that you can have more of the intangible things. And I think you see that and you live that as well. But I can't stand smug certitude. You see that a lot with on the political right. You have these like they'll do the CPAC thing, and you get all these really smug people, and they have all this certitude, and I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. And everyone yells fascism to stop one candidate from happening, and before you know, New York City is a police state under another candidate. And but if when they go to fix it, the guy they fix it with is going to make it a police state too. It's just happening. I just feel like we're in some sort of like the swan song of an earthly empire. That's what it feels like to me. It's the way I kind of see it. Empires rise and then they fall. 200, 300 years. It's about how long they last. You know, so it feels a little grim, but it turns out human history
Oh, good.
is
Here
a
we go.
pretty grim study. It's grim, you know. Like if you want to be realistic and look at human history, then grimness will be a component. You know.
Okay.
I mean, I do think. I think, therefore, that's what I think. So anyway, with all this going on, now I'm in a season of my life where you get 50 years old. And 2019, I had a neat thing happen, which was that at a conscience level, I felt released from working in skateboarding. I was I was limiting the profitability of my work in skateboarding to platform certain ideals. I was accused of being an ideologue. Happily copped to that accusation, no problem. Yes, I was ideologically driven in the skateboarding industry and culture. It was rife with true danger for children, true danger for women. I'm not talking about this I don't feel safe space thing. Okay. I'm talking about danger. And it was incorporated into the fabric of the thing. And I wanted to I wanted to platform ideas and ideals that were far superior and far healthier. And so I did, and that did limit the profitability of what I was doing. Um, and lots of folks who've listened through will catch up a whole bunch of how many ways it did and like that. But now, interesting thing about getting older is I have a son who is really, really good at business stuff. He's pretty good. He's not. He's not. I think. Um, I wouldn't. I wouldn't say he couldn't do it alone, but there are aspects of business that I'm really glad that you are part of, because my son is partners with you.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, and that partnership is outstanding. Your years and years of experience and your willingness to take on some of the administrative aspects, which can be simple if they're well organized. You know, um, just when I was running my skateboard company, I had an attorney, and I had CPA, and I had softwares in place that reported directly to the CPA. Like everything that you do. Those were things. I had the back end of the house was all handled by I had a business partner, and he handled the back of the house to make sure that the content that I made, the advertising material that I made it out as far as it could, and it takes work together. I think partnerships are awesome.
It's not easy.
I do. And you have a business partner in your is it a real estate business? What is your business you do with Cal? You have properties.
I have properties.
Is it a property management business?
So it's a gentleman I have known for, God, I'm gonna go 25 years.
That's solid.
So he's one of the first people I met when I moved to California as a single individual, and we went on a mountain hike, and then we decided, you know what, we can flip homes. What the hell? Let's try this. We had no clue what the hell we were doing. Which we almost killed ourselves truly multiple times. Almost, you guys blew the house up.
Oh,
we have done things that you would. I mean, we would go in the house and we'd say, you know what? We think that wall probably would be better not there. We had no idea what a load-bearing wall was. We were in there. We had the police called on us multiple times because we'd work all night.
Yes.
And the neighbors would freak out. We're running power tools. We don't know. I mean, we had no idea. We had one of the stories. We had a foundation problem.
Okay.
So we hired this guy to help us, and he calls us, "Hey, I need more money." We're like, for what? So we go over there, and literally a back third of the house is missing. Like, you could just see the ground. He had it just jacked up on like car jacks. The entire house. We're like, oh, so you want hazard pay now? Why in the hell did you remove the basement?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it started with him. So we flipped many homes. I'm
going to mine you for stories out of
that. We have done things that I am just beyond my capability.
Super
of
good.
Just, you're young and dumb, and we didn't know what we were doing. We're playing in a real estate that is not cheap. It's California, and we were just buying homes, fixing them up, and flipping them.
I love that.
But we had no idea what the hell we were doing.
In my youth, my aspirations were ministry. I wanted to talk straight about Jesus, the way the Bible actually describes him. I didn't like this toothless, fangless, defanged, declawed version of Jesus. That's not what I experienced. It's not what my scriptures were telling me. So I went into the church with an agenda to be truthful about what the scriptures are actually teaching. Let them speak. And so I got my ass kicked out of, I worked in 3 churches, and the first one, we had a 1-year commitment as a parachurch mission. So it's very easy for them to deal with some of those rough edges, because they're like, oh, we'll just, I don't know, I don't mean to put this evil on them, but if they didn't like that kind of authenticity in the approach to what we're talking about, they could just corrupt and dumb down those people later. We were temporary. They were long term, So we didn't get kicked out of there at all. But I would actually say that church didn't feel that way. I think that church had a much, much more robustly honest core to it.
So you're saying we have taken 2 completely different paths to get to these red chairs today?
Yeah. Well, I actually am going to comment on an aspect of disapproval I have of myself, because these 3 churches, now the next 2 churches were fascinating, because we were brought in to do youth and young adults ministry in the second church, and we did everything. We didn't change any programs. We did everything really smart, and um, we wound up tripling the size of everything we were doing, and that we were run out unilaterally. One of the big problems that happened during that was one of this was the very early days of the internet. He was a child. He was barely 14, and he had gotten in chat rooms, and he was being groomed uh, by abusers. And so that is a mandated reporter scenario. I was still in my 20s at the time, but that's a no-brainer, and I was professional, and so I did all the normal mandated reporting stuff, and the pastor of that church pulled me aside, and he was livid, and he was not mad at me, as far as I understood the interaction, which was protracted, but he said, we cannot have this, as in the political structure I'm in can't endure this kind of frank and honest crisis management. We can't have another crisis like this, you know. And kid's dad punched him in the face, which was not a great thing either.
Oh, that's
so we had
that's how you should react.
We had a big mandated reporting, and I said to the pastor at the time, this is the kind of experience that you're flipping houses with foundations being removed. It's on bottle jacks with contractors saying hazard pay, money, money, please, right? I'm over in a church, and the pastor is telling me we can't have this about something that is taking the whole world by storm, that kind of abuse. And I'm cutting edge on calling a flag on the play on that kind of stuff. I mean, Chris Hansen hadn't started his work yet at all. This was the invention of chat rooms. So I'm there. That happens. And then the third church I went to, I stayed there 2.5 years. The first two were 1-year deals. But that pastor, he unilaterally fired me to the damage of his own career, because we had done excellent work, had an excellent youth ministry, and all the stuff that you really want to see was going on. But he he had a legal pad with stuff on it, and he had, like, your dog pooped on the carpet when you brought your dog in for an object lesson.
Oh my God, this guy seems a little.
Dude, listen.
Wow.
If you've ever been in a board meeting where chicanery is going down, nothing holds a candle to some of these committee meetings that happen in churches. Like, nothing. I had a guy who worked at Chiquita, and he went through a couple of these kind of meetings, and he said, I've been working at Chiquita for 25 years, and I've seen some really shady stuff go on. This right here, this takes the cake. I've never seen anything like this, and it's illegal. It's illegal. You're not a person who's employed is not allowed to be treated like that, And I said, nah, this is what they always do to guys like me. This is what happens when you don't sugarcoat or distort or corrupt in the interest of money the things that the scriptures, the money will be there, dude. There are people who want to help that happen, Anyway, so I came out of that in 2002, and I tried planting a church in a different way, house church. I tried doing a house church network where I could do that same work, and had a bunch of interesting experiences in that less institutional model. And we did wind up doing house church as the way that we worshiped, but way back when it was like you were a cult if you were a house church. It's actually harder to become a cult in a house church because everyone is in a circle saying, hey, wait, that's no, And so we did healthy, good house church stuff. And then 2005 rolled around, and I got rolled into a skateboard brand and found something I was good at in the world. Something actually good at business-wise, growing brands and working with skateboarding. What I actually had skills that intersected with it, And that set me off. By 2008, I owned my own brand, and I, was working into, and then in 2009 and 10, I built my own presses. I changed my whole model. I captured the production and began to platform, not an innovation, but a renovation of the culture and the production and the product and like that. So working in the heart of skateboarding from 2008 until 2019. Oh, a red cardinal just flew right through.
Now, is that good or bad?
Well, I'll take it.
What does it mean?
I'll take whatever it means.
Okay, I didn't know if that was like
It'd be hard for me to think that a red bird would be a bad sign. Somebody might think so.
Who knows?
You know what? Bless them. And I've had cardinals nest in here.
Nice.
And it literally was like, okay, I'm going to wait a month to fix that bike so that those cardinals stay. I'll just wait till the babies are done and just not fix a bike because of it. But I really struggled with feeling I wasted my youth in
ministry.
I did.
Okay, because
I didn't build. It's not true. I don't agree with those feelings.
I mean, but you said you felt that way, but I think you got to figure out what's the ripple effect of what you did. Like how many lives did you change? And I'm gonna go ahead and say in a positive way,
one or more,
because you were there. So that's not wasted.
Well, okay, so that's true, and that's waiting for me. That's waiting for me when I get there, and that is a comfort. But today was not a good day. I did not do well today. Right. Today I grumbled my way through the day. I have a real goal to not grumble.
So what started the grumble? Because when I walked in, you're like, I'm not there today.
I was happy though. I'm happy. I'm happy even when I didn't do well. There's a happiness.
But I don't understand what you didn't do well at.
Managing my internal dispositional makeup, taking my thoughts.
Lou, you got to use smaller words, like buddy, because I can't understand.
Taking my thoughts and making them captive to what's actually true in Christ for me, right? Which is that I am loved. This whole thing about Jesus is I am loved. I am embraced in the forgiveness of God, and that I am going to be cared for by Him until I leave this life, and to just really bed down in that and let that affect. A huge part of it is letting that truth affect how I feel, how I think, how I treat people.
So did you feel unloved today?
I did. I was filled with feelings of being worthless and stupid and unimportant, and the whole mental itis that people get.
The woe is me.
Like I told you, I was in pity party zone over. I got nothing to feel pitiful.
I'm just trying to figure out what happened today that put you there, because it wasn't like.
And plus, now I don't
think anybody yelled at you today.
No, in fact, that stuff doesn't bother me as much as some of the inner stuff. And we all got, I did grow up. I spent the first 17 years of my life in a pretty heavy mire. I'm not blaming the people around me who were trying the hardest they could, but I dealt with being raised by folks and being in a family of folks. And I'm not meaning to take a dump on my family, because all in all told, they did really well. But I got a few ruts in my mind from the way I was, came up. A few kind of ruts. We all do.
We all have that. But I was just trying to figure out, was it because it rained today? Was it because you were?
The boy does not like rain.
I was just kind of like,
I do not.
What was the trigger?
I do not.
Because usually you're pretty just on it.
I see it a lot of times when I'm out there. One thing that's really nice is now I'm a titan of industry.
Damn.
You know, like,
and what industry would that be that you're a titan of?
I feel like it's roofing. You know,
We're titans. Okay.
dude, it's insane. Like what you see, like people have roofing companies come. You know, you sell roofing. I don't even sell it. I install it, and been loving, dude. I've been working on my Spanish, just getting better and better. On
I just love the fact you're a titan.
we are titans
I
of
mean,
industry.
to me, it sounds like you're a pretty big deal.
It's a kind of a fun thing to be at 50, have my son be able to pop me in to a career I've got skills in, I can have satisfaction in, and now like so some of the things where I feel like loss is uh, and this was really tough in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. Got real tough because I made a shift from running my own business where I was doing something that was profitable and meaningful in skateboarding, and I stopped and I went and started doing just jobs.
That's when you
Working,
became the mechanic?
I was running retail repair jobs with my friend, signage installations with my friend, and started working rental flips for
Oh my
for
God, that was when you guys did the
Vinebrook.
Oh, we want to try to forget
Oh my
that stage of
gosh,
life.
it's so bad. And then I tried like doing two at a time. Aaron was on one, I was on the other. Aaron and I did a rental flip together. And then I went off to do one with Sean while he went off to do one with Keenan.
Oh Lord.
And then I would go over to that one and I'd be like, yo, when you're hoeing out a huge area of junk, you start at the door and you work inward. So you have a clear shot to the door. And like the boys just didn't have that. And so you're looking at rental flips. And the project manager has got more than 20 houses on top of him, so he can't do his job.
Right.
And without project management, the crews, there were some crews that had been doing it long enough and they had it down to a science. They would murder their way through, and they knew everything that they needed to get. They knew all the things that the project manager was going to blow it on, and those guys were machines. All due respect, but I watched one of the best crews quit the industry right after I did. So doing that, doing the rental flips, doing the retail stuff, doing the signage installations, and then I went and grabbed a job at a motorcycle shop. I went to Crucifix Motorcycles.
I knew you're doing the motorcycles.
Very shade tree, because I was working on my own bikes, and Crucifix was where I took them when it was too hard. And he liked me, and I liked him. He was a big mountain of a man and a really sweet dude. So I went and I learned from him for a while. Then I went to no, I went to Harley Hardware. That was the first one I worked at. And I only worked there for 2 weeks because they didn't have they didn't have any established standard procedure, and there were no standards involved for me to meet or fail. They didn't have any benchmarks. They didn't have any baselines, and I kept getting told to do things that were wrong. Like instead of cutting a spacer for a wheel axle, I was told to stack washers instead of a spacer for a wheel axle on a motorcycle.
That doesn't sound very.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
And at least run a welding bead over it so that you have at least a sort of unified thing. But I mean, no, don't do that. TIG weld. Like no, don't do it. There's no need. You could. You can buy a space. I've got a box of spacers hanging on the wall right now. You can buy them. So working it there, I didn't want to stay. Then I went and worked for some other jobs, and then I worked at Crucifix. And at Crucifix, it's like any catapult. This is how far it shoots. So COVID hit, and in 2020 April, when they did the shutdown, I just took that opportunity to get out of there right before he picked a big fight with a bunch of 1%ers, which, if you know what 1%ers are, that was not cool. He was disrespectful. It was dangerous, dude. It was really dangerous. So I dipped on that. And then after that, Um, there was a third one, and he offered me like a $10 hour to work with him. He was out in Lebanon, and I did one day. I didn't ask for pay for it after the day because I realized that it's too far. It was they're all crazy. Every bike shop is crazy. Every independent motorcycle shop is going to be insane, dysfunctional, insane, but it can be really cool. It can be really worth it. And then finally, the functional insanity of the bike shop, working for Brad at the bike shop, that stuck. And I was there for over a year before I got poached. And Brad gave me the "You are now a mechanic. You are, I was capable and able and organized, and and like that." And he was very, very kind to me. And it looks like next winter in off season, I'm gonna go and work there as often as I can, maybe 2 days a week, maybe three,
We'll
because I'll
see.
still be working roofing.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I work roofing.
Yeah, we'll see.
But love the bike shop. Truly, truly good Harley repair shop, and it's so rare and so valuable. We watched 7 bike shops close in 5 years. Like, we lost them. So, anyways, I during that time I felt like I had wasted the productive 20s of my life to get a career and a skill that I could work in and have something to show in this realm of the scene world, you know, before eternity. I really undervalued, and it's relative. I'm not talking about it being the most important thing, but it grates on a guy to be like, well, I would fix that if I had, an extra $1,000, but I don't have one extra $1,000. I was very content in my youth to have very little in this world. I wasn't a builder of wealth in any way, and I don't regret that. But sometimes it grinds on a guy.
Well, we're going to change that.
It's already changing. I mean, I feel really happy. The roofing is super cool because we do a great job installing roofing. That's one thing I need. I need to see a good job done in whatever I'm doing.
But it's not just that. You're branching out. You've got to, you're trying to sell some roofing now.
I'll sell a roof now and then. I will. I'm not going to shift into sales, though.
No, I'm not saying that, but you get a little extra bump when you do that. There's ways we're gonna.
Yep.
You're gonna ride the wave with us, my friend. You're riding the wave with us.
Back in the ministry life,
when that roofing tsunami comes, we're on top of it. We're not under it.
Well, what we've done is we've paddled out, and we're sitting on our boards, and we caught waves last year, lots of them, and we're paddling out, catching waves. I see putting on a roof a lot like you paddle out, and you sit there in the lineup, and you get your sales guys get a roof, and you get to ride that bad boy all the way to the finish, and then I paddle out again.
If we can get this rain to stop, we got roofs to put on now. We need better weather.
We have at least 2 in the pipeline that I know of. I know
we have 2 for you and 1 for Josh.
Yeah, that's right. We've got 3 in the pipeline, and that one for Josh might become an insurance job because we found hail damage on that one.
That's a different one. The Josh one we sold is the flat one.
Oh,
I need Josh to do that.
That's 4.
Tear off that rubber and put on that modified.
I know there are going to be 10 in the pipeline in like 20 minutes right now.
They're out there rocking.
Yeah.
These guys the dam will break. We are right now pushing up against it, and as soon as these guys are going to freak out. They're going to be like, "What just happened?"
I'm particularly stoked out of my mind to see we've got a chimney guy running chimney jobs right now.
Yeah, we are just really we're going. Cool. We're ready.
Well, this was a good chat. We're at 6:36. I'm about to have my weekly Bible study.
Nice.
Do you know what it's called?
A beer and Bible?
It's called Sinners Only.
Ah.
And I got a subscript for it.
Well, hang on. Isn't everyone a sinner?
That's the joke.
Ah.
It's exclusively.
I'm thinking to myself, isn't everyone?
It's exclusively. Well, there's this place, Matthew 9:12 and 13. It says, Jesus goes, go and learn what this means. He's talking to self-righteous religious professionals. And he says, it is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. For the Son of Man came not to call the righteous, but sinners. And it's like, yes. And I'm so glad because I super am one. From dark grumblings of being self-pitiful to all the normal horny garbage of being a human man. Like I'm no different to anybody. And the brotherhood of sinners only is where I'll just have them praying for me because
do they come here to the
same trough? Yeah, I mean I'm actually going to push these.
CapmLew?
I'll push the Hollister chairs back into their place in the corner, and then I'll put up all those folding chairs. I'll move this bike out, and I'm happy that it's going to get rained on because I need to. I'm going to give it a shine tomorrow after the rain, and then get this blue monster running smooth this year.
I'm looking forward to it,
dude. And so you and I are going to be podcasting out of our rides. We're going to talk about what you're learning.
I'm ready to go. I'm excited.
I told Todd 2 days ago that I was going to get him dusk and dawn certified. Like those are pro level certs. There are certs, people. There's highway,
Oh my God!
I took you at the end of the season last year. I took Todd onto the highway.
We did the highway, buddy.
No windshield, no fairing. Took him up. We did 80.
We did 80. That was a unique experience.
Yep. You were feeling what it's like to be blown back, and your bike, by the way, also is getting suspension. This bike you ride is getting a rear suspension, so it won't be as rigorous.
Thank you. My old frame would enjoy that. Yes, it's a bit of a bumpy ride.
Well, I'll tell you, much love and respect to the previous owner of this bike because they set it up just the way I like it. It's low in the back, slammed, and I really like that. I do. They dropped it so low that the fender cut the drive belt. That was an oversight.
Yes.
So I repaired that as quickly as I could.
Well,
yeah.
Again, we're just kind of getting geared up for this year. So I appreciate the time, Lou, and enjoy the Sinners Only.
Dude, for real. Hey, to all you guys who listen, I actually had a listener contact me and they said, hey, I need more of these. And he said, I'm going to go and listen through all of them because there's 107 or 109 of them from last year. And this is now season 2.
Awesome.
So season 2 of the CapmLew podcast will have Todd Redding and other guests. And then I'm learning how to do solo.
Sweet.
I'm learning how. Losing my buddy Luke. Luke was more for the podcast than I think folks pick up on.
Yep.
I don't know how to describe that, but podcasting with Luke in a conversation was so comfortable. I could podcast like that. And without him, it is stiff. It is really hard. I'll think about podcasting and then think, dude, I don't prefer to fall. I don't like to rant alone. Just get into some unhinged rant. I'm afraid.
I love it.
Well, I'm going to dig out this remote control and we're going to be drunk with power as I remote stop the podcast. CapmLew podcast, for what it's worth. Jesus loves you, baby. Catch you on the flip side.